The laughter started softly at first, the kind that tries to hide behind hands and lowered heads, but it grew louder with every bump of the city bus, until it filled the air like something sharp and ugly. It was aimed at a quiet man sitting near the back, his worn jacket zipped to the neck, his eyes fixed on the floor, and at the large dog resting calmly by his boots. The man did not react. He did not flinch. He did not look up. He simply sat there, silent, as if the noise passed through him instead of reaching him. What no one on that bus realized was that the silence they mocked had been forged in places far louder than this, and the calm they laughed at had once saved lives. Before the story unfolds any further, take a moment. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us not to judge too quickly, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that may need them the most. The bus was old, the kind that rattled even when standing still, its windows fogged from breath and rain. It moved through the city like a tired animal, carrying people who were equally worn by long days and heavy thoughts. Office workers stared at their phones, students leaned against poles with headphones in, and a group of loud young men near the middle laughed too hard, too often. Their attention kept drifting to the man and his dog. The dog was big, with intelligent eyes and a steady posture, clearly trained, clearly disciplined, that alone seemed to make some people uncomfortable. Dogs like that did not belong on a bus in their minds, especially not beside a man who looked like he had nothing. The man's clothes were clean but old. His boots were scuffed. His hands rested calmly on his knees, rough hands, the kind shaped by work and time. There was something about him that suggested distance, as if part of him was somewhere else entirely. His eyes, when they briefly lifted to look out the window, did not see traffic or storefronts. They saw something far away, something remembered. The laughter grew sharper when the bus hit a pothole and the dog adjusted its position, pressing closer to the man's leg. Someone made a joke about homeless pets. Someone else mocked the man for not reacting. In a city full of noise, silence often makes people uncomfortable, and discomfort quickly turns into cruelty. A few passengers noticed and looked away, pretending not to hear. A few watched with mild interest. No one intervened. The man had learned long ago that reacting rarely made things better. He had learned to endure, to breathe through discomfort, to remain still when every instinct screamed to move. Those lessons were not learned on a bus. They were learned under desert suns and in dark, shattered buildings where silence meant survival. The dog beside him was not just a companion. It was a partner, a protector, a reminder of both the best and worst days of his life. Years earlier, he had worn a uniform every day. The weight on his shoulders then was different but no less heavy. He had been an officer in the U.S. Army, responsible not only for his own survival, but for the lives of others. He had made decisions that could not be undone, choices that followed him long after the missions ended. The dog had been there then too, trained to detect danger, to move when told, to trust him completely. Trust was something the man understood deeply, and losing it was something he feared more than anything. When his service ended, the transition back to ordinary life did not come easily. The world felt too loud, too fast, too careless. People complained about small inconveniences, and it made him feel like an outsider, like someone watching through glass. The structure that once held him together was gone, replaced by long days and longer nights. The dog remained constant, grounding him, giving him a reason to get up when everything else felt pointless. On the bus, the laughter continued, but the man stayed still. His breathing remained slow and controlled. He rested a hand gently on the dog's head, a subtle gesture that went unnoticed by most. The dog did not growl or shift aggressively. It simply stayed alert, aware, loyal. This calm presence only seemed to fuel the mockery, as if kindness itself were something to ridicule. At the next stop, an elderly woman boarded the bus, moving carefully, gripping the rail as she searched for a seat. The bus was nearly full and no one moved. The young men continued laughing. Phones stayed glued to screens. Without a word, the quiet man stood. He guided his dog slightly aside and offered his seat to the woman. His movements were smooth, deliberate, practiced. The woman hesitated, surprised, then smiled and sat, gratitude softening her tired face. For a moment, the laughter faltered. Something about the gesture shifted the energy on the bus. The man did not look for approval. He did not wait for thanks. He simply stood, holding the rail, his dog now sitting close at his feet. The bus moved on. A few stops later, the driver announced a delay. Traffic ahead was blocked, and the bus would be stuck for a while. Groans rippled through the passengers. The young men complained loudly, frustration spilling out in jokes and insults. One of them pointed again at the dog, questioning whether animals were even allowed. The man said nothing, but the dog's ears twitched, sensing the tension. Then something unexpected happened. A sudden sharp sound echoed from outside, followed by shouting. The bus jolted to a stop. Through the front windshield, passengers could see confusion ahead. People running, a vehicle angled awkwardly across the road. Panic crept in quickly, spreading faster than reason. Voices rose. Someone yelled to get off the bus. Someone else shouted that it might be dangerous. In that moment of uncertainty, the quiet man changed. He did not raise his voice, but his presence shifted completely. His posture straightened, his eyes sharpened. He moved toward the front with calm authority, guiding people to stay seated, to remain calm, to wait. There was something in the way he moved, the way he assessed the situation, that cut through the panic. People listened without fully understanding why. The dog followed closely, alert but controlled. The driver, overwhelmed and unsure, looked to the man instinctively. Outside, it became clear that there had been an accident involving a delivery truck and a small car. People were hurt. Emergency services were not yet on the scene. Without hesitation, the man coordinated with the driver, helping keep passengers safe while also assisting those outside who needed immediate help. He moved with efficiency, checking for danger, guiding people away from risk, using skills that had been second nature for years. The laughter from earlier was gone, replaced by silence, by awe. Someone recognized the way he gave instructions, the way he scanned his surroundings. A patch on his worn jacket, barely noticeable before, suddenly made sense. It was faded, but clear enough. U.S. Army officer. Whispers spread through the bus. The quiet man they had mocked was not weak. He was not lost. He was disciplined, trained, and deeply capable. The dog, once a target of jokes, was now clearly a working partner, moving with purpose and intelligence. When emergency services finally arrived, the man stepped back, allowing professionals to take over. He returned to the bus, sat down quietly, and rested his hand on the dog's head once more. His role was finished. He did not seek recognition. He did not explain himself. Passengers looked at him differently now. Some with shame, some with respect, some with regret. As the bus resumed its route, the atmosphere had changed completely. The young men were silent, staring at the floor. The elderly woman watched the man with gratitude. A few passengers offered small nods, subtle acknowledgments of what they had witnessed. The man accepted none of it outwardly. His gaze returned to the window, to thoughts only he could see. Life was like that, he knew. People judged what they did not understand. They mocked what they feared. They laughed at silence because they did not know how much it could hold. Near the end of the route, the man prepared to leave. He stood, signaled his stop, and guided his dog toward the door. As he stepped off the bus, rain had begun to fall lightly, washing the city in gray. He did not mind. He had walked through far worse. Before the door closed, the elderly woman called out a quiet "thank you." A few others echoed it softly. The man paused, nodded once, and continued on his way. If this story is touching you so far, please pause for a moment and reflect. Acts of kindness, strength, and quiet courage often go unnoticed, but sharing them can change how we see the world. If this story moved you, please like the video, share it, and subscribe to support more meaningful stories like this. As the man and his dog disappeared into the rain, the bus continued on, carrying passengers who would never forget what they had witnessed. Some would think twice before mocking someone quiet. Some would remember that strength does not always announce itself loudly. Some would carry guilt, others inspiration. The man walked on, not thinking about the bus or the laughter. He thought about the present moment, the steady rhythm of his steps, the familiar presence at his side. He had learned to live with his past, to carry it without letting it crush him. The dog looked up at him briefly, eyes filled with trust, and he felt something warm stir in his chest. A reminder that even in a noisy, judgmental world, there was still loyalty, still purpose, still dignity. Just before this story ends, I have a special request. Please comment below with one word that this story made you feel: hope, respect, sadness, inspiration, or something else entirely. Your words matter more than you know. The city moved on, unaware of the quiet lesson it had just been given. But somewhere inside a bus full of strangers, something had changed. And sometimes, that is how the world becomes a little better, not through loud speeches or grand gestures, but through quiet strength revealed when it is needed most.